Hey guys, it's Ethan from Zimmer Labs. Just finished this guy up, so I wanted to do a relatively quick video on it. This is the last of the Korbanth Gullwing builds that I have on my plate. You'll notice there's been a lot of videos of these lately. That's because I did them all together for obvious reasons, try to speed the process up. This one is the first I've done with the Variant 2 Goth 3 Designs chassis. It's the master chassis with crystal chamber, but it is not the one with the crystal chamber located behind the gullwing doors. It is in the grenade section up here. And it came out great. Have to say I'm very happy with it. But it was really just awkward and convoluted installation because of the design of the chassis. I don't know if it's because I didn't get it or what, but it took some real modification. Start with the basics. Kill switch is the clamp card, so slide it down. Comes to life. Red LED indicates that the power's on. Power switch is here. This is your auxiliary switch. And to reveal the crystal, you simply twist and slide. And there is your crystal chamber in the grenade section. Now this is another crystal chamber that the crystal that I used ended up being really terrific. As I've said in previous videos, using genuine quartz crystals is great because they look really nice, but the thing about them is that no two are alike, and no two refract or pass light the same way. Some of them don't really light up well at all. There have been instances where I've installed crystals and Neopixels and then had to take them out because they just looked terrible. When you turned it on, the light didn't refract at all through them, and they didn't even glow. So it's kind of it can be a crapshoot at times, whether or not the crystal's going to look good, but this one looked great. I'm going to take the top grenade section off, just real quick so you guys can maybe get a better look at the crystal itself, because it's incredibly cool. It's got some really wild facets in it. Yeah, probably it's going to be hard to pick up. But the shape and the cut of this guy is just nuts. Really cool, really unique. I'm going to get a headlight to really try to shine some light on it. That might help. Yeah, that's a little better. There are just some really wild facets going on in this thing. hopefully that shows up a bit on the video, but overall, right up there with the best looking piece of quartz I've ever put into a lightsaber. Now to reattach the top half, you simply slide it on and then set the set screw. Just check to make sure it works, and that's good. Insert the blade. There are 2 set screws here underneath the screwed emitter part. The blade, the only maybe downside, I guess, to this design, this build, is that when you slide the section up here to show the crystal, the connectors lose connection, so the blade turns off. Just nothing you can do about that, unless you hardwire it, but there's a lot of downsides to doing that. So, as far as for display purposes, there are workarounds, but this guy overall came out really well. Now, let me explain a little bit about the issues with this thing. The biggest issue that I had was that it's obvious to me that the crystal chamber is supposed to go here, so you can see it, because this is the only section where it fits and is visible, which means that the recharge port would have to be down here. Now, the only reason this works in the configuration that I have it set up in is because I machined out this section so you could actually access the recharge port. But guess what? The recharge port wasn't even there to begin with. When I got this chassis delivered, this whole bottom half was flipped around 180 degrees, which meant that this recharge port was behind that, right there. Which is like, it's not even close. So I actually had to cut the chassis in half, rotate it 180 degrees, and then reattach it with epoxy to get the recharge port to actually be in the appropriate orientation. And then I still had to Dremel out this section so that it's accessible. Additionally, when I first built this, even though everything was where it was supposed to be and installed correctly, the speaker was sticking out to about here, which means that there's just no way this was going to go on, and the crystal chamber was right to the top. So I had to trim at least 3/8 of an inch off the end of this chassis to shorten it up and get the speaker in sufficiently so that you could put the bottom section on and the speaker wouldn't hit the bottom of the pommel or anything. So just, you know, it's not rocket science. You know, these are simple solutions, but when I buy a chassis off of Shapeways, you know, something that Goth 3 Designs does, or Stock Custom Creations, or Stock Custom Works, sorry, you expect them to show up ready to go. You don't expect to have to cut them in half, invert them, swap them around, cut 1/2 inch off the end, glue them back together. It's just not, you expect the work to be done for you ahead of time and the design to work. You don't expect the design to be a complete fail unless you're willing to do a bunch of cutting and gluing and rebuilding. But that being said, it is entirely possible that it's my fault and that I just didn't get it. But you know, I looked at it as many ways as I could, and I thought about it as long and hard as I could. It didn't seem to be any obvious solution except for what I ended up doing. So hopefully there will be some instructions posted by Rick Ryo sooner than later, explaining how the chassis is supposed to be assembled. And we'll find out if it's supposed to be done the way I did it, or if I missed something, or if there's another way to do it. But at any rate, that's how it worked out, and I'm real happy with it. This guy is for Ronnie, and obviously Ronnie, give me a shout, let me know if you have any questions. And thanks for watching, guys.